Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I welcome you all to the second lecture of routing and switching. My name is Engineer Jafar Ali and I am your instructor for this course. So let's start with the recapitulation of the previous two videos. In the last two videos, we have actually discussed about the OSI model in much detail. We saw that how a device or a node or a terminal can communicate with another device using OSI model, but it is not practically implemented. But all the other practically implemented models are basically derived or devised from this OSI model. So we can say that we have learned about much things in the communication of communication between networks. We learned about the operation of all the seven layers and how they are involved in this communication. We have concluded that this model is basically an appropriate model, and to understand the basic of communication, we also discussed that there are some hardware devices that are involved in the communication. So keeping that in view, we will be continuing our lecture of today, and in this lecture we will be covering these network devices. We will be touching some of the major devices that are really important to include while building a network. uh, we will also look at that by changing the device, how a topology or a performance of a system may vary. Let's say if you are changing a hub to a switch, then how the performance of the network will change, uh, and how you can select the device for given specifications of a system. If you are asked to recommend some devices for a given system or given specifications, so how will you decide that which device should be selected? This last topic will be given to you as assignment. I will be giving you some hints in the last of the lecture, but let's see who will be able to catch the fish. uh, mm, uh, So let's start with the networking devices. So those devices that are required or essential or necessary if you want to be in a network, if you want to be a part of a network, if you want to operate or communicate within a network, you will be needing some devices, and these devices are basically termed as network devices. And in the previous lecture, we have also established that mostly hardware components are used in lower layers, and the upper layers are not basically hardware, they are mostly software. The lower layers are basically hardware. So lower layer includes layer 1 physical, layer 2 data link, and layer 3 network layer. So in these devices, now all these devices that we will be looking today will be mostly used in the lower layers of OSI model. So the first device, that is NIC. This stands for basically network identification card, and this is the important hardware component. It is commonly termed as network adapter, as you see that I have mentioned network adapter over here, but the actual full form of NIC is network identification card, but mostly it is installed in a system by the name of network adapter, and you can see it by yourself in your computer settings. Sometimes you have some IP cloning issues or any other errors, due to which you are not able to be a part of a network, you cannot connect to the network. So you mostly right click and start troubleshoot on the network, and you see that there is a dialog box which shows that your network adapter has been reset and the problem is resolved. So that network adapter is basically nothing but your network uh, identification card. It resets your NIC, and basically your problem gets resolved. So let me show you in my system, and this NIC is basically. So this NIC is basically responsible for transmitting frames from a host to a medium. It basically specifies the architecture of network. The NIC, it has to specify some information. and this information is about architecture of the network, that either the network is Ethernet or token ring or any other architecture. You can take any other architecture, but the architecture is specified by the NIC. And the second thing that NIC tell you or specify you is basically the medium. So let's say if you are using an NEC card for UTP medium, that is unshielded twisted pair, so the same NIC card will not be working in the any other medium. Let's say you have changed the medium to optical fiber, you want to go to optical fiber, or you want to go to any other medium. So this NIC that you used for UTP will be not working for the other mediums. So you have to keep that in mind, and you have to take that into account while deciding a medium is not not the only thing you need to change. You need to change the NAC as well. So next comes the MAC address. This is basically the physical address, like IP address. We discussed in the last lecture. IP address basically is logical address. That was not physical, that was logical. It may be vary, it can vary every time you log onto a network or you connect to a network. Network may be giving you different IP addresses, but this is not the case with MAC addresses. MAC addresses are not logical, they are physical. Uh, and this physical address is basically burned into a ROM of every network interface. So MAC address is basically not changeable. It is burned and it is not changeable. And you know that MAC address is usually 12 digit hexadecimal number, but you should be knowing, you must know that the first here is example of the as, MAC address. You can see that it's basically a 12 digit uh, code or the number. The first 6 digits actually represents the block ID, that which block this MAC belongs to, and it is normally specified by the manufacturer. So you can say that this is the ID for the manufacturer, but the manufacturer has its own ID, so he has to put that in somewhere. So he will adjust that in your MAC address. And the last 6 digits are basically the device ID, that is also unique, just like IP address. But IP address may vary, and this MAC address cannot vary unless you do cloning or any other technique that change the MAC address of some devices. That is entered, that is studied in ethical hacking, where you change the MAC address, or IMEI cloning. That is all about ethical hacking. I do not recommend such techniques. Uh, let's go to the next slide. Now, what are frames? NIC basically breaks the data into frames, and these frames carry some information. It is the information is basically about the MAC address of a NIC, and both the transmitter and the receiver. The frames will have to carry the information of NIC, and the most important thing that the frame carries is CRC. And you know that what is CRC? CRC is basically a technique that is used to reduce or eliminate the error or to correct the error. It is embedded. The CRC is now embedded in these frames, are uh, which have to travel towards the destination. Now, what is hub? A hub is basically connecting central point of any physical or star topology, logical topology, bus topology. These hub basically manage the communication among the using a host or any other devices, using among different members of the network. But it has to follow some method, and the method is that in step one, a host basically sends a frame to another host through hub. It cannot the device cannot send the data to directly to the other device. It has to be passed through the hub, and the hub duplicates the frame and send it to every other host connected. So you see there is a lot of security issues when you talk about hub, and that because hub is duplicating your file and it is sending it to all the other users. So this is very harmful for if your data has some security concerns. The host to which the frame is addressed basically accepts the frame, and every other host basically discards it or ignore it. If it has memory, it will store it, but if mostly in mostly cases they will discard it. So basically it is less secure. As you see that, you can see that this is not very much secure as compared to switch. In this, that will be switch. And what is switch? Basically switch is a multi port bridge that performs filtering, and this filtering is basically based on the MAC address. And why this is recommended? Because it is more intelligent than hub. It is not working same as hub. It is basically more secure, and this is used at layer 2. And how this works, let's start with the detailed discussion of a switch. Basically a switch is a multi-port bridge that performs filtering that is based on MAC address, and in addition to that it provides additional features that is not found in bridge or hub or any other network device. While mostly bridges can process only single frame at a time, and these switches can perform multi frames simultaneously on the different channels. This is major thing, that this can perform multiple transmission, multiple frames, but on different channels. So switches offer more guaranteed bandwidth to switch port, and you will have to bear the cost. That is the reason, because you have to allocate a dedicated bandwidth for a specified user, so you will have to pay another cost for extra resource. Similarly, switches can make forwarding decisions based on the MAC address. For example, a switch can be configured to only accept frames from a specified MAC user. If you want that no other user sends you the message or a frame, so you can easily change the settings of the switch and allow only the user that you want to receive packets from using the MAC address of that user. And you see that this MAC address will be really important in switch. And similarly, like switch like bridges, these switches operate at layer number 2, that is basically data link layer. Switch basically builds a database based on the MAC addresses, and this is where the forwarding decisions has been taken from. Eventually MAC switch basically learns about the location of all the devices. Similarly, the switch basically identifies the source address of incoming frame. If the source address is not in the forwarding database, the MAC basically adds an entry, and it is stored in that database. So if the next time the same user or different user want to communicate with that device, it basically do not have to create another channel or another path. It will look into its basically database. So if the if a user want to send a packet, but the destination address is not in the database, the packet will be sent out to all the ports except the one who has sent the packet. Except that, all the remaining nodes will be getting that frame and that message. So if the destination address inside the database, then the switch will not transfer the data to all the devices. It will only forward the data to that specified port or that specified user. And broadcasts are always forwarded to all the posts except the one that send the broadcast. Now, what is a wireless access point? A wireless access point is basically a hub, but it is mostly wireless, and it uses the radio waves instead of the wires and communication, and it is used at layer number 2. It is just like the hub, but it is working at layer number 2, and that too in wireless. Now, what is a bridge? You can see that bridge, it creates a single aggregate network from multiple communication networks. You have different networks, and different networks can connect to each other using a device, and that device is basically termed as a bridge. Let us look at some of the more devices that are really into uh, uh, topics that are really into discussions nowadays, that is gateway, router and firewall. And you have heard about these terms very much, I hope so. So internet work devices basically are that devices that are using multiple networks or subnets together, and it basically enable the communication between host or any other different types of network. So you have a gateway, a router and a firewall, and there is a small difference in all of these. I will tell you in the slides. Let's start with the gateway. A gateway is any device that basically connect one administratively managed network with another. Basically, the gateway is a device that controls a flow of data between two networks. If you are leaving a network, you have to pass through that gateway. And if you want to enter into a network, you have to pass through gateway to enter into a network. So this is basically the gateway, and this is oftenly used to describe a specialized device that translates the data between two networks using different protocols. It also translates the data for you if you are changing your network. A gateway is also basically is also connect to a one type of computer system and another. For example, if you want to connect your PC client to mainframe computer, you can do that using just a gateway. Now coming towards router. Router is a device that basically connects two or more network segments or subnet. Basically, router receive packets and read their headers, and there they find the addressing information that which user it is addressed to, and from that it send them on their correct destination on the network or internet. It can be any network. Each subnet has a unique and logical network address, and this router basically manages a routing table, and in that routing table the path is mentioned from a destination to a user. So if a user want to transmit a data towards a receiver, it will look at the routing table, and that routing table will be stored in the router, and the routing table will tell the path that the packet has to follow towards the destination. Router can also be used to connect network with different architectures such as Ethernet. It can connect Ethernet to a tokening, and a router basically forward packets to another networks by maintaining the information in the routing table. I repeat again, it has to manage its routing table, and it keeps updating its routing table again and again. In the start, if it is not there is no entry in the routing table. Let's say you have bought a new router, so it will have zero entries in that database that is termed as routing table. But eventually and gradually, after some time, it will be able to locate some destination points, and it will be able to find the shortest path or the optimum path or the best path towards the destination. Now coming towards firewall. A firewall basically is a router but with additional security features. It can be programmed with security rules, and this is the reason to restrict the flow of traffic between networks. A firewall can control the type of traffic that is allowed into the network or out to the network. You can basically, in mostly offices, you see that some offices you cannot use the computer for personal activities, let's say Facebook or YouTube वगैरह, and that basically is due to the firewall system. They have blocked the traffic of Facebook or YouTube. And in some banking sector or some financial sector, you also see that you cannot even plug the USB into a laptop, and the reason because of that is security. So a firewall can be used in terms of network topologies. I am talking about network. Firewall is the one which handles the security features of all the devices that are connecting with each other. And these rules basically are set up by firewalls. These are basically which determine the performance or the security level of that network. A firewall can either be hardware devices or software installed into a operating system. It can be both. It is not necessary that it is a hardware piece. It may be software. Let's as I've given you example that you cannot even plug the USB into a company uh, system. So the reason is because they have installed software firewall in their systems. Moving forward, this is very interesting topic, network segmentation. Network segmentation is basically the process of dividing the network into small pieces, small segments, and the reason is because of which we do that is to overcome such problems, that you have to maximize your bandwidth, you have to reduce congestion, and you have to increase your network performance, overall network performance. And for that you will have to divide your network or segment your network. Handling a big network is not as easy as compared to handling a small network or a segmented network. If you are using a segmented network, it will be more easy to handle, and for that you need to have network segmentation. As you segment the network, you will need to consider some of the domains that actually comes into account, and there are two of these. They are basically collision domain and broadcast domain. We will see them both one by one. Now, what is collision domain? Before collision domain, let's start with the broadcast domain. A broadcast domain in any network is where the computers can receive frame level broadcast from their neighbors. As you add devices to a network, the amount of the broadcast traffic on a segment also increases. So let me show you what this actually means. So basically, broadcast domain means set of all the devices that are able to receive broadcast frame originated by any member of their own set. For example, you can see this is a network. This is a big network. Let me take the marker over here. So let me show you what does this mean. This means that if let's say there is a user, let's say this is the user who originates a frame into this router switch. Let's say you see that there are four switches in this network, and this basically is the gateway, that is the router, and it is connected this network with any other network in the through the internet or any other medium. So if this system originates a frame, all the devices will be getting this broadcast. Basically, this is a broadcast frame, and a switch basically broadcast each and every packet if it does not know the receiver. So it basically originates the broadcast message to everyone. If it knows the destination of the basically switch do both of the unicast and multicast or broadcast, you say that. But if the user has specified that this message is a broadcast message, so the switch will be broadcasting this message instead of unicasting it. So it has basically switch will forward this packet to every other network entity, any other user in that domain, even that to the router too. But the router will not forward it, it will discard it. Router do not broadcast, so switches do broadcast. So all these users will getting the same broadcast that this user just originated, but this user will not be getting the same because it is the sender, and sender will not receive the same packet. So this is basically a broadcast domain. All the users that receive the broadcast message within the set of from a member of their own broadcast domain, this is basically known as a broadcast domain. So this is one broadcast domain, this is another broadcast domain. A router, except router is not included in broadcast domain because router do not broadcast. And similarly, this is broadcast domain, one broadcast domain here, and this is basically three broadcast domain over. You can see there are three broadcast domain over here. Now coming towards a collision domain. A collision domain is any network or subnet where devices share the same transmission medium. this is really important to study, that they are using same transmission medium, and where the packets can collide. So collision is increased as you increase the number of devices. So as you increase the number of devices, the chances of collision will be increased as well. And to understand this in much better shape, I'll show you this diagram. So this is the diagram for the collision domain. You can see that there is a hub, and with the hub there are many devices, approximately devices connected to the hub, and this is the switch, and with the switch there are basically 9 devices connected with the switch 2. Now you see that this collision domain occurs when the packet is collided. And in hub basically is a shared medium. As I've told you that hub is not a smart device, it is less secure, and the reason because of that is it is using the shared medium. And by shared medium I mean this is using only one line to communicate all the data. So it is highly possible that the starting of the transmission of this medium may collide with the transmission data of this medium, resulting in collision. So the collision will be occurring in hub. So there is one collided collision domain. This is basically one collision domain. Hub is basically one collision domain. And when you look at the switch, I have told you that switch knows the specified path towards the receiver, and it is the most secure because it basically unicast as well. It where hub always multicast or broadcast the message, switch basically unicast the message. It knows the destination or the route towards their destination, it will only send the data towards the destination. It will not broadcast the message. So if you so it is using unicast. So this is basically more secure as compared to this one. So you see that in this shared type of medium, there is one collision domain, and in this switch they are basically as I've told you that every user will be specified by different path. So there will be different collision domains for each of the user. So there will be 9 collision domains in this case. And similar to that, as we talked about the shared medium, I have already told you that here in the case of switch there will be no sharing. There will be no sharing of the channel. So let's get back to the slides. To understand the the collision domain more effectively, let me show you the working of CSMA. What is CSMA? Basically, this is carrier sense multiple access with collision detection. Basically, so basically in this CSMA CD, that is carrier sense multiple access, it is tried. This is basically a protocol of MAC, and the reason of and the purpose of this protocol is that it basically try to avoid the collision. For example, let's say if this is the user 1 and this is user 2 and this is user, let's say, n, and if user 1 wants to communicate with user n, it will be using the shared medium. This is the shared medium, so it will be using this shared medium. But let's say if it is using this medium and 2 wants to communicate with, let's say this is n-1 with another user, so it will not transmit the data to in the channel, because then it will be collided and no one will receive anything or the garbage values. So before transmitting the data to n-1, 2 basically senses the data. 2 basically listens to the data, the medium, that if it is empty or not. If it is not empty, it will hold back the data to a random time after, let's say, 10 minutes or after 15 minutes. That is just a random time. This is known as basically contention window, CW, contention window. So this basically holds the data to a random time, and after that random time it will again try to listen to the medium. If the medium is still busy, it will again go to a random time, unless and until the channel becomes free. It will directly transfer the data towards n minus 1. But there is also a chance of collision in this case. Let's say the medium is remained idle for a very long time, and user 5 and user 6 at the same time, by coincidence, they want to transmit the data, and they both listens the data, the channel, and the channels is empty, and they both start transmitting the data towards their destination. Let's say 6 want to transfer n minus 1 and 5 wants to transfer the data to, let's say, 1. So the data will be collided here in this path because the channel is shared. So that is the reason. This is basically collision domain. So this is basically CSMA CD, that is carrier sense multiple access when collision and detection. This was all about today's lecture. If you have any questions, we will discuss that in class. I look forward to see you all over there. Please try to write down your questions onto a paper so that we will discuss that in class. Or you can also reach me at my email. That's all for today. Thank you very much.